ChatGPT is now a completely different tool. OpenAI brought Chat, Work, and Codex into one super app. And the new Work can do live web browsing, create documents, build presentations and spreadsheets, and even launch websites. And some are even calling it the Claude Cowork killer. But after hours of using it for my own work, here's what I realized. Out of the box, what it creates can look pretty generic. The difference is a few simple techniques that most people aren't using that take the output quality from meh to quality so good you'll start questioning whether you even need some of your other subscriptions. In this video, I'm going to show you those techniques while also walking you through how to use the new ChatGPT Work, and by the end, you'll be ahead of 90% of people. Let's get started. To access ChatGPT Work, you can either do so via the web, the same way you'd normally access regular ChatGPT, or by downloading the desktop app or the mobile app on your phone. For today's demo, I'm going to be using the desktop app, which you can get by going to chatgpt.com/download. Depending on whether you have a Windows or a Mac computer, you're going to click on either of those buttons, download it, and then install it on your computer. Once you're done installing it and you're all set up, you're going to see this interface that looks very similar to the ChatGPT that you're familiar with. One of the key differences is at the top left-hand corner of the screen, you're now going to see a drop-down menu that says either ChatGPT or Codex. So you're going to select ChatGPT, and then to the right of that, you're going to see a toggle that either says Chat or Work. The Chat toggle is where you're going to do your regular chatting just like you would in ChatGPT before. Now we're actually going to be selecting the Work toggle for this demo. In terms of when to use each one, here's the mental model I use. I'd still use Chat for quick questions, brainstorming, short rewrites, and everyday decisions. Work is what I'd use for more substantial tasks, where I want ChatGPT to use several sources, big files, work through multiple steps, and hand me a finished deliverable. If you've used Claude Cowork before, this is OpenAI's version of that. And you can think of Codex as the more technical, building side of the app, similar to Claude Code. All right, back to work. Everything we're creating here is going to be for a fictional restaurant concept called Olive and Ember. We're evaluating whether the concept is actually viable before committing to the lease and opening the restaurant, etc. But before we ask it to create any of the actual materials, we're going to give ChatGPT one reusable set of rules for how this business should look and sound. And the best way to do that is to create a skill, which are preset instructions that let it execute the task in a repeatable way. Now, similar to Claude Cowork, ChatGPT Work also works in projects, which is just another way of saying folders on your computer. So I've created a folder called Olive and Ember, and I've loaded everything that exists for this business so far. Founder notes, some menu items, some financials, logo ideas, visual inspiration, etc. This is the business context that ChatGPT is going to work from. Now, before I run this, I need to choose a model. I'm going to use Sol with high reasoning because this is open-ended brand work where judgment and polish matter. Terra is the everyday workhorse that I'd use for normal business work, and Luna is the faster option for clear, repeatable tasks. Just keep in mind that higher reasoning can improve difficult work, but it takes longer and uses more tokens, so I wouldn't automatically push everything to max or ultra. Alright, so we've got the Olive and Ember folder selected with everything in there, and now I'm just going to give it this prompt here. Using the founder notes, visual references, and images for the project, create a reusable brand skill for Olive and Ember. And I'm giving it some other details to just clarify exactly what I'm looking for this brand skill to do. And once it's done with that, here is the finished brand skill. Look at this, it's defined our voice, our visual style, and then practical rules for every file format. So it's not just going to make every output one identical layout. One thing to keep in mind is that a brand skill does give us reusable judgment and consistency, so I don't have to keep re-explaining the style of the brand every time. If creating this brand skill made you realize how often you repeat the same instructions to AI, then I suggest you take a look at this free guide that I partnered with HubSpot to create, called 11 Ready to Install AI Skills for Knowledge Workers. I'll link it in the description box below. Because once these are set up, you stop managing AI and start delegating to it. This guide includes 11 practical skills, like a meeting prep skill that pulls together your CRM notes, past emails, and company context into a one-page brief before you walk into any call, alongside inbox triage, meeting prep, weekly business reviews, content repurposing, decision-making, and more. Each one explains when to use it and gives you a copy and paste build prompt that you can use inside of Claude, ChatGPT Work, or Codex. My favorite part is the competitor monitoring skill because it turns scattered updates into a useful weekly intelligence brief. Check out this free guide using the link in the description, and thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring this video. All right, back to it. Now that Olive and Ember has a brand system, we're going to do some market research to really pressure test this concept. This task is more structured, so Terra would also work here. This is the kind of everyday business research where you could start with the more balanced option, but I'm going to stick with solve for now. So I'm just going to give it this quick prompt. Use the materials in this project and current web sources to research the market opportunity for olive and ember and to compare a bunch of different competitors, pricing, private dining, reviews, themes, etc. Now, another nice feature that I wanted to mention here is something called plan mode. So to access that, you actually just click on the plus sign and click on plan mode. And what that does is it allows ChatGPT to tell you what it's going to do before it actually goes and does it. So it just gives you a little bit more control over tasks before it drains your tokens and does something that you're not happy with. All right, the research is done. We've got the competitor comparison, and I can click into the citations to see exactly where each claim came from. It also has some assumptions and recommended positioning gaps, which is super helpful. And it talks about what's not yet proven, which is also good to know where we're missing information. So now that the research is complete, I can turn this into an actual deliverable. Up here on the top right corner, the outputs menu actually keeps track of everything work creates. If I press the plus button right there, I can choose the type of output that I want and even start with the template. You can see that there's a bunch of templates to choose from. But because we already created our own brand skill, I'm going to use that to make this document match our restaurant vibe. All right, so I'm going to just say here, the research looks good, turn it into a polished, editable concept and market opportunity brief for Olive and Ember using our brand skill and project images. And I'm going to tell it what I want it to cover within the document here. And I'll remind it to check the finished document against the brand skill before it returns it. And here's what we end up with, a completely editable Word document. Now, scrolling through this does look like Olive and Ember. It's using the same visual system that we defined in the brand skill, and the citations and assumptions are carried out throughout the research that we did. But I think we can make it look a bit more professional and structured in terms of layout. So I'm going to give it a screenshot of a design that I liked from Canva and ask it to use the same layout and font style of that screenshot, but to keep the color palette and images from Olive and Ember and to give me a PDF this time. And here's what we end up with. I think this looks actually much better. And I think it followed my instructions really well. It did keep this similar type of layout to what I gave it as a screenshot. So I'm pretty impressed with this. Next, we can use this document and some of the files already in the project folder to create a PowerPoint presentation for prospective investors of the restaurant. So I'm just going to say here, I have an investor meeting coming up. Use the Olive and Ember concept brief we created along with the relevant documents and images in this project to make a polished, editable 9-slide presentation. And then I'm going to give it very clear instructions on exactly what I want the presentation to include. Now I'm also going to give it a style reference, another Canva template that I really like the look of. This one right here. And at the end of my prompt, I'm just going to say, I like the look of this presentation. Can you create a similar look for this presentation, but use Olive and Ember's color palette, logos, etc. Because I still want it to feel like this restaurant. Now, while this is generating, I want to show you how to use another powerful feature. Let's say we're creating a presentation and we realize that there was an email we received from an investor asking for specific things to be included in this presentation. We can actually use something called plugins to connect our email right into ChatGPT work, and we can bring that context in the presentation and make sure her questions are actually addressed. Plugins basically allow ChatGPT to connect with third-party apps that you already use every day, and it can send and receive information from those apps. I'm going to show you how to do this. We can open up a side task so that we don't interrupt the presentation being generated. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots at the top right here, click on side task, and we've got our new conversation ready. Now to invoke the plugin or activate it, I just need to use the @ symbol and type in Gmail because I've already got this connected to my ChatGPT. But if we didn't already have it connected and we want to see the full list of plugins, we go to the left side panel, click on plugins, and that brings you to all the plugins that are available under ChatGPT. And you would just select the one you want and click on install, and it will take you through the setup process. You can see my Gmail is already connected here. So I'm going to head over to our side task, and I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to find the email that I'm looking for from the investor and to summarize the questions that she wants answered. It then gives me a list of information that the investor wants to be addressed in this presentation. So now I can copy this info right into the main chat and have a follow-up prompt asking it to include this in the presentation it generates. Now, after working for a while, it's generated the presentation that I can now open up in PowerPoint to take a closer look. So let's open it up. I think it's a good start overall, but not perfect, obviously. You can see it tried to mimic the design I was giving it with those geometric shapes, but it didn't quite nail it. The good news is that I can make edits to everything on the slides within PowerPoint and delete those awkward geometric shapes if I want to. I do really like the two-tone effect that it used, the green and the cream kind of color palette. I think that looks really sharp. The other way I can edit this is go right back to the chat, and I can actually click on parts of the slides within the right side panel, and I can annotate these things. Like I can actually put notes on the part that I actually wanted to change, which is great. So I'm going to click on one of the shapes, and I'm just going to ask it to fix the geometric shapes on the slides and generate a version that looks more polished. And it goes ahead and does this for me, and here is the new version that it created. I think this looks a lot better. Now, if I was actually going to use this, I would rework the look of the logo so it doesn't have that box around it. I'd change up some of the fonts a bit, but overall, much, much better. Now I want to turn the messy financial information that's sitting in the project folder into a neat, organized Excel spreadsheet that's easy to understand. The pricing, the opening cost estimates, the operating assumptions, we need to be able to make sense out of it all. For this one, I'm going to try switching to the Terra model with high reasoning, because it is structured financial work, so the everyday workhorse with high reasoning should be okay. All right, so here's my prompt I'm going to use. Use the startup costs, menu, staffing plan, and location assumptions in this project to build an editable financial workbook for Olive and Ember. And I'm going to tell it what exactly I wanted to include and to use the brand scale without making the workbook look harder to read, so that the look of the spreadsheet matches everything else we're creating. Now, sometimes these files can take a while to generate, but the good news is that ChatGPT has a feature that helps you get notified when your task is done, even when you switch to a different program or you're doing something completely outside of ChatGPT. So you can multitask freely. The feature is called Pets. Let me show you how it works. From the main screen, you head over to the left side panel, and I'm going to click on my name at the bottom to access the menu. And in the dropdown, if I click on Show Pet, you're going to see this cute little pet appear on the screen. So now if I go to do something else, it follows me to other windows I'm using on my computer and lets me know when the work is finished. I can change the look of the pet if I go into Settings and select Pets, and then see they have different looks here. I can switch it to different ones if I want to. And when I want it to go away, I just click on Hide Pet. Definitely a nice feature for sure. All right, so after working for a bit, here's what our Excel spreadsheet looks like. We've got multiple tabs here, starting off with kind of a dashboard that summarizes some of the other tabs that we have. We've got a tab here with all the assumptions it made, which is super helpful. And then we also have some scenarios, from more conservative to a little bit more optimistic. And then it added some tabs for the raw data, so our startup costs, menu, economics, etc. And because we're applying the brand skill, you can see it applied our colors and our fonts. Now, if I open up this formula here, you can see that that's a real live formula, not a typed in total. And all of these are completely editable, so just imagine how much time you can save by doing this. But just keep in mind that a polished spreadsheet can still be wrong, so I would review the assumptions, spot check the formulas, and have somebody actually verify the numbers before you rely on them. Now, we can actually take this one step further and convert this Excel document into a visual calculator that we can run different scenarios on. So I'm going to say here, turn the expected scenario in our workbook into an interactive break-even calculator. And I'm going to tell it exactly what I want to be able to change in the workbook, what I want it to be able to do, and ask it to make sure it matches the workbook. And again, because I want it to look nice, I'm going to give it a style reference for another app that I like the look of. And this time, I'm going to ask it to use the same fonts and colors of that app. All right, and here's what we end up with. Look at this, I can actually change the average check size, the covers per day, and you can see how it immediately impacts the revenue, profit, and break even. Really handy to be able to simulate different scenarios for sure. So we now have the business brief backed by research, the investor presentation, and the financial model. Now the fun part. We can create a nice website for our restaurant using another new ChatGPT work feature called Sites. Sites is a way to create and share a live website or lightweight app that other people can open and use. So from the prompt box, I'm going to click on the plus sign and then click on Sites. And then I'll give it this prompt asking it to use our images, brand skill, and any other relevant documents in our project to create a pre-opening site for Olive and Ember. I then tell it what I want it to include on the website, ask it to make it responsive for mobile as well. And I've also added some images of some screenshots that I took from a website that I liked and put it in the project folder already. So I'm just telling it to refer to that file called website inspo, which has the screenshots, and use similar styling for this website. All right, and after working for a bit, here is the finished site. Here we can see it actually looks really nice. It has our story, the sample menu, private dining, opening updates, and on mobile, it holds up as well, which is great. And considering we did all of this with one prompt, I'm pretty impressed. Now, if you wanted to actually be able to share what you create with someone or actually publish the site, you're gonna go to the left-hand side of the screen where it says Sites, click on that, And you can see here that it includes the website that we created and the break-even calculator. So now I can click on Share, and I can choose who actually has access to this, and I can select anyone on the internet and click on Publish. And now it's a live site. And at any point, you can always go back and change it from live website to actually just private as well. Now, I've shown you how to do a lot of different things in this video, but what if we wanted to do a task regularly on an ongoing basis? Well, we can actually turn a piece of work we're happy with into an automation that ChatGPT will do for us on repeat while we sleep. Let me show you how to do this. Remember that competitor research from earlier that we did? Let's say we wanted to continuously do competitor research on an ongoing basis. Right in that exact same chat, we can actually go and say, earlier in this conversation, you gathered research on my competitors. This competitor report is exactly what I want. Run the same research every Monday at 8 a.m. And we can tell it exactly how we want that report to look. And there it is, scheduled every Monday at 8 a.m. So now we'll get a fresh competitor brief every single week. All right, so now that you've seen what work can really do, let's talk about some things that I've learned in hours of testing this that I want you guys to be aware of. First, usage. Work is doing more than just producing one chat response at a time, so more substantial tasks can use more of your plan capacity, so just keep that in mind. You can still use the chat for brainstorming, quick questions, and simpler everyday tasks. One great thing that you can actually do is seamlessly bring in complete context from your chat conversations right into work by clicking on the plus sign in the prompt box, and then all of your recent conversations will be there that you can select to help with any of your tasks that you're working on within work. So you don't have to re-explain stuff. And if you really want to maximize your usage, start off with the lowest model and effort level that can reliably produce the quality of work you need. Another thing I wanted to mention is about the mobile app. When you have the ChatGPT mobile app downloaded on your phone, there's a feature called Remote that lets you start, continue, or steer work that's actually running on your Mac or Windows computer. But just keep in mind that the computer still needs to be awake, online, and running the desktop app to actually work. This can be a really nice feature if you're on the go and you want to come back to finished work on your computer. I also wanted to talk about permissions for a second. Within your settings under General, there's different permissions that you can set. There's the default, auto review, and full access. I would recommend trying to start out with default permissions so that it can only read and edit files in its workspace and ask for extra access when it needs, rather than just auto-approving changes. And I would avoid full access unless you absolutely need it, because then work can edit any file on your computer and run commands without your approval, which increases the risk of data loss or leaks. In my opinion, the playing field has truly been leveled between Claude and OpenAI, especially with the new GPT 5.6, at a much cheaper price than the Claude models. I myself will be continuing to use it for a lot of my work. If you found this video helpful, then please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel to reach more people that this could help. And if you want to learn more about how to use AI to level up your work and your life, then click this next video.